You just have to do this drill 100 times. What we're going to do is this, which is to set the ball here and aim it at that center dot and try and bring the cue ball back to the tip. And when you do that, what you're looking for, this way you're not testing yourself on whether you make the ball or not. Any bozo can kind of poke at the ball and make a ball, right? So making the ball is not the criteria by which you judge whether you had a good stroke or not. A good stroke will always look a certain way at the end of the stroke. So if I come down on this and I'm trying to hit that down to the end of the table, I want to hit the center of the cue ball. If I can hit the center of the cue ball, it'll come right back to my tip. Like that. And the way I know whether I had a good stroke or not is to look where my tip landed. So if my tip landed straight through and on top of that table like that, then that's a good stroke. If I end up swooping it like that, or I end up coming up like that, which is what you do, or I swoop it this way, then that's a bad stroke. It doesn't matter whether I made it or not. I can swoop it and still maybe make this ball. So I can go like that and I can swoop it and it still might have gone in. But the way I tell whether I had a good stroke or not is by looking at where my tip ends up. Did my tip end up on the table? And that's what we'll be judging things on. To try that, you're shooting at this diamond here, and you're trying to make the ball come back to your tip, and you're evaluating whether the stroke was any good or not by where your tip ends up. Okay? You did two things there. You hit the ball crooked and you didn't hit it in the center. When it spun like that and went off to the right, that's because it had right spin on it. Put it in the center of the table. No, you got right spin on it again. See? You're hitting the right side of the cue ball. Again, you hit the right side of the cue ball.
I think I know what it is.
Oh, there are about 4 things. I'm dead serious.
Well, there's one of them I can think of.
There are about 4 things that you're going to need to do to straighten this out.
Did it again.
And probably number 1 is your grip. As long as your thumb is on top of that cue like that, you're going to twist the cue as you shoot through. We don't want the thumb involved. Nope.
Down.
Yeah, what we want is a loose grip where it's just hanging on those 2 middle fingers, and that thumb's not involved at all. This finger's not involved. That finger's not involved. It's just a loose rocking motion. And now you should hit it straighter. Nope, you're still hitting it on the right side. And that can be an alignment issue. There's about 4 things it can be, or more. Yep, see every time. See it spinning?
Yeah.
You're hitting it on the right side of the cue ball every time. Yeah, for one thing, you're way off the center.
Well, I'm just trying to hit it without spinning.
Karen, go down to that end and hit it this way. That way you can put it in the same spot every time. We got a spot down there. And you're aiming right at the center of this diamond. Yeah, your stick is off to the right of the cue on every shot that you've taken so far. That's better. Yeah. Yeah, we're going to have to start from the beginning. We can do that. I don't know how long Robin's going to be.
How did I survive all these?
Well, you did. Yeah, I mean, you weren't playing.
Right.
You're just playing bar pool,
Well,
and you can make balls with that.
the first three parts.
With
right?
that flaw of always hitting the right side of the cue ball, you can make balls all the time. But
Why?
that's not what you want to do.
Right
You
in
want
the
to.
middle of it.
You think you're aiming in the middle of it, but you're not. That time you did. But it's not aiming that's the problem. Usually. It's
Okay.
stroke that's the problem. So let's talk about stroke. Okay, so there's a process to shooting a pool ball that is something that you're going to be repeating. If you want to learn how to strike it well, you're going to have to learn each one of these little steps. And it's exactly like learning a dance step or if you think about gymnasts, right? Gymnasts are doing a 35-second routine at the Olympics. In order to do that 35-second routine, they do every single motion they make, even with their little finger, exactly the same way every time. And if they screw up one little motion, the whole thing screws up, right? So they've been practicing that for a year. The pool shot's exactly like that. If you want to be in competition on league night and make most of the shots that you're trying to make and get the position you're trying to get, you have to repeat the same gymnastic routine that you've been doing over and over again. And if you are able to incorporate the things that we're going to talk about here, for the rest of your life, every single pool shot you'll ever take, you'll be doing exactly the same thing. Right now, you don't do the exact same thing on every pool shot. You do each one differently.
Right.
And the reason is that you're not going through all the steps that are required. So I'm going to walk through all the steps that are required right now. And then as we go on with these lessons, we'll concentrate on each one of these steps.
Okay.
So step one is to determine where you're going to place your right foot. We're not going to talk about tactics or strategy. Let's assume you know what shot you're going to shoot. And what shot we're going to shoot is to hit that one ball right to the center diamond and have it come right back to the tip, right? So the process is like this. I'm getting my alignment, and you can use your cue stick to do this. And the way it's really good to start out in the beginning to make sure you're getting the right distance is you have your hand placed on the stick here. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to find out, you're going to notice whether your grip is in the right spot and what your grip is. And the grip is this loose. So see the V above the stick? See how my thumb is coming down? The only reason that thumb's there is to keep the stick. If the thumb wasn't there, the stick would roll out of my hand, right? But it's not there. Your thumb is just like this. With your thumb right there, there's no way you can swing back and forward without twisting the stick.
Okay.
So there's no way you can hit it straight if your thumb is anywhere on top of there like that. Yours happens to be right about there. Okay, you're holding it like this.
Golf grip.
Similar. But that's not going to work because when that slides back and forth on that thumb, it's riding along the side of it and it's going to twist like that.
Okay.
So what we want is these two fingers to form a loop and the thumb to be pointed straight down at the ground like that. And if you really want to get it where you're only using the two fingers, all three of these fingers, the thumb, the index finger, and the pinky the pinky should never be involved, and the index finger should not be involved either. So now we're coming up here and we're finding our alignment. And to do that, you kind of have to contort your body a little bit. And we're placing this, what is going to be the rear foot, is going to be placed on this line that we're going to shoot the cue ball along. And that has to be placed perfectly because everything else we do with our body is going to be wrapped around that foot.
Okay.
It's the thing that we're marking the position. So we can only aim from back here, Karen, You cannot aim from down here. And what you see a lot of players do, and you do this, you'll walk over like this and you go, oh, okay, I'm going to shoot that one. Well, when you've done that, I've placed my foot way outside the line, and the rest of my body doesn't know where to go. So each and every time you see me shoot, I'm standing back here like this. I'm moving that foot a quarter inch, a half inch at a time until, boom, I got it exact. This is where it needs to be. And now the rest of my body is going to fall in line around that foot. So aiming here, I check my grip. Grip's loose. Thumb is going to be pointed downwards. I want my hand hanging right next to my hip when I'm done. I place my foot and I see the line. I have it on the line. I'm going to just twist that foot a little bit and come down on this foot. And now I'm in a fighter stance. I have a nice fighter stance where if you were to come and bump me, I wouldn't have to adjust myself. I can balance my weight. I come down on that, and my arm is hanging straight down. My shoulder and upper arm are in exact alignment with the outside corner of my foot. My hand is dangling like a string underneath it. That's why we call this a pendulum stroke, because I'm going to swing the pendulum back. This is the fulcrum, or the tying point to the ceiling. This is the ceiling. The ceiling doesn't move when you swing a pendulum, right? So this is a string with a weight hanging on it. And if I pull that straight back and let it slide, it's going to go like that. And where's the tip going to end up? On the table. So I'm pulling a pendulum back and letting it swing forward.
But you always tell me to keep my cue flat.
Yeah, you do. But it's never is flat. I tell you to keep it as flat as you can. Okay. But it's never going to be flat. Okay. And the reason it's never going to be flat is because the center of the cue ball is lower than the surface. So it's going to be pointed downward no matter what. Okay. And so you're always pointing downwards. And so when that pendulum reaches the bottom, you want that tip to be right there. So you're swinging a pendulum back, and then you're stroking through. Okay, so that's the first part of it. That's getting down on the ball. The next part is forming a bridge, and you need to do it at the right distance. And you're going to try to do it at the same distance every time you shoot, although you never will, but you're trying to get there. When you come down, that foot is placed. This hand is dangling straight down by your hip, and you've got lots of hip clearance here because of the way you've spread your feet. You tend to have your feet like this. And when you do that, your hip gets in the way. So as you come down, you're coming down like this. You see the shot. Your hand's going to be hanging next to your foot. And now this thing. You're making a bridge with the fingers spread, the thumb up in a V, and about 8 or 10 inches away from the ball. And now we're going to do a couple of practice strokes to get the feel for it. And then this pause right here is one of the most important things of all. You're pausing to make sure your tip is right in the center of the object ball. And during practice, we want to do a 3 count for that. So come down on the ball. Just warm up with a couple of practice strokes. Now 1, 2, 3. And during that, I'm looking up 4 or 5 times and looking back and forth and making sure I'm aligned correctly. Down on the shot. I do my practice strokes. I pause. I go 1, 2, 3. Does it look right? Does it look right? No, it doesn't look right. You'll often see me stand back up, and this is how much I'm going to move. And then I come back down again because I was off. I needed to move my foot a little bit. I cannot stroke properly without that foot exactly placed, exactly where it needs to be. So back to the whole process again. Every single time you readjust, you don't readjust from down here. You don't go, oh, it doesn't look straight, so I'm going to come over like this. Never. You always come back up like this, and you go through your gymnastics routine again. Come down, my foot's in line, my arm's in line. I go 1, 2, 3, looking back and forth. Does it look right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Pause back here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Is my tip on the table? Yes. The pendulum stroke makes the tip go down into the table. A shoulder drop stroke makes the tip go up like that. And I'm overemphasizing it.
Got it.
So now you've just seen the whole damn thing. Almost nobody is willing to take the time to learn those steps. And yet, it's only a 15 or 20 second routine. And if you memorize it, and if you practice it several hundred times, you'll be shooting better than you've ever imagined you could. But almost nobody's willing to do it.
Okay.
But that's all there is to it.
Okay.
That's it. And so then there's little adjustments that have to be taken into account. So we're coming up, grip, foot, come down, practice strokes, everything's in line. If you stand behind me, everything on my body is in line with that shot. 1, 2 practice strokes I usually do. 1, 2, 3, and while I'm doing that, I'm looking back and forth. Finally, as I do the backstroke, I'm looking at my target, my distant target, and then I stroke through, and it comes right back to my tip. Got it? That's all it is. You got the whole thing right there. Now we'll go through several weeks of
Does that?
trying to get that tuned up.
So.
Okay, you want your hand, so you're way too far away from the ball right now. If you think about, here's how long your bridge length is, and here's how long my bridge length is. The longer that bridge length is, the less accurate your tip is going to hit that, because you're out here wobbling around like this, or you have it here and it's not wobbling around as
So
much.
I can adjust anywhere.
You can adjust anywhere on that you want to.
Okay.
And so what you want to do is get your hand next to your hip, and then for the early part of it, shuffle forward until you're about a half an inch away. That's the correct position. And now get your grip on it, get your thumb down to the side. You're actually wrapping your hand around it like that. Yeah, no, you can touch it, but don't touch it with this part of your thumb. Touch it with that part of your thumb, like that. Okay. And get that index finger out of there. Yep. You want to turn your hand and let it just rock. You're letting it rock back and forth on those 2 fingers. Okay, that's the right distance. Now you come down on the shot by stepping over. Further.
Further?
Oh, yes. Okay, now you just cleared your hip about 4 inches when you did that. That little bit of extra step cleared 4 more inches around your hip. Now you can come down on it. And this part here, we want dangling. That arm out like that, and this, there should not be a single muscle active in that forearm. Now you're just swinging it back and letting it fall forward.
Like that?
Yep. Now this time you had done the right side, which is good, because it means you've adjusted. You see how that spin works? If the ball's spinning this way, when it hits this end rail, it's going to go that way. If it's spinning this way, it's going to go that way. The spin is produced by not hitting it in the center. If you hit it in the center, it's going to go right straight forward. If you hit it on the left side, it's going to spin and go back in that direction. If you hit it on the right side, it's going to spin and go back in that direction like that.
Good.
Yes, it's much better. Put it right on the dot. There's a little opening in that dot there. You want exactly the same shot every time, because you can't tune yourself otherwise. Your lower brain is so much more refined than you are in terms of those things that you have to teach it exactly what you want. And by the way, if you feel comfortable while we're going through this, you're not doing it right. You're going to feel uncomfortable. You're still too far away from the ball. That's the main thing I see.
Well, I'm trying to get my alignment,
Yeah.
my toe.
So the way to get your alignment is, I'm going to show you the motion that you need to make. You watch my eyes from this end in my head. So if I've got my hand next to my hip, that means my center of vision is offset from this, right? My center of vision needs to be over here in order to see that line. So what I do is this little motion right here. This is exactly what you do when you shoot a rifle. When you shoot a rifle, your head starts out over here and then you move it over the top, right? But you don't do it like that. You do it like that, right? So what you're doing is this little motion, you're getting your right foot set right on that line, and you're bringing your head over like that, and then you can, in the beginning, shuffle up like that, and then come down on it. Give yourself plenty of clearance.
Like that. I'm still too far away.
Yeah, you're getting too far away from the ball. You need to be right down there where your hand should be, right about there. Don't do it that way. Stand back up and walk closer.
Stand back up and walk closer.
Yeah, you need to be closer to it. Now come on down on it. Let's just see. That's a much better distance. But we want this finger down on the table and these fingers spread out like that and a little V right there. That's perfect. Now you hit it dead center that time. Yep. Part of it was your bridge. Your finger was in the way, so it was pushing the stick aside, and you were too far away from it. You got to be.
Makes sense, because I do that all the time.
You want to get right in close like this. This is how close I usually am when I form my bridge. You were way back here like this, so every inch that you go back is a little bit of sway. Much better. Your hand could be a little bit closer to the ball. We're going to mark your feet in a minute here after we figure out where you should be. Yep, bring that hand right.
Do that all the time?
Yep. Well, you can loop your finger over the stick if you want. It's called a closed bridge. But for now, I think you're much better off to have an open bridge like that with your fingers placed down against the table. That has to be completely stable or you're not going to hit the center of the ball.
Still better. Do you ever get to the point where you're just doing it naturally?
You have to get to that point. Yes. Just like the gymnast. The gymnast isn't thinking while she's doing it. She's been doing it every day for a year.
Doing it again.
Now your hand is slowly drifting further and further away from the ball.
On the cue?
Yeah. Now, I'm not going to worry about your grip hand right now because you're not going to relinquish that grip. We'll work with that grip for a while. We need to work on this bridge.
Well, I get in position and I line the ball up and then I get this finger down and I'm ready and then I'm thinking about my grip and I'm like, how many fingers do I have?
Yeah, I know that's what you're doing. That's why I don't want you to think about the grip. The grip will come.
And everybody I watch is like...
Yeah, well, they're not really. You think they're holding it hard? You mean really good players?
Well, everybody I watch.
The 90% of these players are gripping this stick too tightly, which is why they're 2s and 3s and 4s and 5s. They're not 7s.
Okay.
Because they're gripping you won't see a single 7 that's gripping the stick like that. Now, and you won't see a single 7 that's hitting the ball like that,
Right.
ever.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen. You don't need to do that. I can go, look at how far I can go with a gentle little stroke. That's 3 times as far as almost any shot I'll ever take in my life.
Right.
And I didn't get out of myself and slam it.
Right.
The 5s, the 4s and the 5s are gripping the stick too tight. And then when they shoot a ball like that, they're going, and no wonder they can't advance. So almost everybody is holding their stick too tight. So don't copy them.
No.
You want a loose grip. Even the pros, you'll see pros that are keeping all 4 fingers there, their grip is still super loose. In fact, they're hitting it with, you can't get good English on the ball and you can't get good draw on the ball unless you're almost letting go of the stick and letting the stick, you're throwing it like a spear. You almost have a feeling that it's going to fly out of your hands. That's how loose it should be. But let's get that bridge right up to 8 inches. That's this far. 8 inches. In fact, I'm going to mark it. Oh, I want your thumb right there. I want your V to be right
My thumb
there.
right there.
Yep, that's it.
That?
That's what you want. You want accuracy? That's how you get it. You'll be able to hit the center of the ball every time. If you don't, you got to go through the whole thing. The whole thing.
Addressing the ball.
Yes, you're addressing the ball. Thumb all the way up by that. There you go. That means you got to adjust your feet. Whenever you adjust your feet, you stand back up again.
Way more than a quarter inch.
Okay, let's get that down. Finger down, spread your fingers. Nice V there. See how you're hitting the center of the cue ball now? Before, the cue ball was spinning off and going in that direction.
It feels brand new every time I do it. Brand new.
If you're doing it right, it's going to feel wrong. I guarantee you.
Definitely.
Okay.
Feels like it's going to come out of my hand.
So we're going to add one more thing. So you start with your thumb right there, and your tip ends up right there.
So it wasn't far enough.
Okay, you want to stand back and get your line. You can only aim from back there. Okay, we want to bring that thumb in a V like that. This has to be turned like this.
Like that?
You're close. Let me in there, and I'm gonna.
Oh, pinch
Use
it.
something like that. Okay. The thumb comes up like that. You've got it out like that now, and that's too wobbly. And the other thing you do is you put that finger up like that. And when you do that, it's too wobbly. See how wobbly it is? Now, I've got my hand pressed down against the table, actually. And I'm bringing that thumb up. Everything's stiff.
What happens when you don't have all that space?
Huh?
What happens when you don't?
You have to adjust. But let's say, okay, let's say I'm reaching, say this is my cue ball.
I mean, you got like 4 balls.
Yeah, you have to adjust. What we're doing is we're setting up the perfect shot, and then we're only getting out of it, the perfect form, we're only getting out of it when we're forced to. Most people get out of the best form automatically. They just do it a different way every time. But whenever you can, so even if you're in a situation, let's see, where you got to reach across like this, okay, so I'm still coming back here, and I'm figuring out what my line is, and I'm trying to keep my head over it and follow that line. I can't do a perfect foot placement, but at least I can bring my body from back here straight forward to the shot. Most people will come into most league players will come into this shot from the side and they don't know where the line is. So you try and get every principle in that you can. And the first principle of all is stand back behind the cue ball and figure out what line it has to take. And let's just say this is a cut shot towards the 9. What line does that have to take? Well, that's over here. I'm going to come and look at the back of that ball, see where my contact point is. Then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to get my foot on that line. I'm not going to be able to leave it there. But I'm starting out properly, and then I'm going to come forward, and now I can't leave that foot there because I have to lean out over the table, but I had it there, and I know what the line is, and I can stay on the line and come in like this and make the shot. You practice the entire orthodox stroke, but you can't always do all the parts of it. So there you had just a slight amount of right spin on it, and one of the things that happened is you moved your hand back another couple of inches. You want to have a long bridge, and I want you to shorten your bridge.
Perfect.
Perfect. That little short bridge is going to do you so many favors compared to what you've been doing, because I see you all the time, you're out like this. Okay, that's all inaccuracy that you're building into your stroke. If you were like this instead of like this, that takes away a huge amount of inaccuracy. And it's part of the orthodox stroke. Why don't you
come right back to the tip, right?
just, yeah, you want it to come right back to the tip. I'll be back in a minute. So let me tell you about something that has to do with what you've achieved so far today. And that is that when you started out, you were hitting the cue ball off center on every single shot, right? And that was causing spin on the cue ball like that, right? You know, I've watched you play a lot in league, and oftentimes you'll line up over there, and I'll show you what you do. You love the long bridge, and so you'll come here like this, and you'll go to make that shot, and you go like this, and maybe you make it. And then the next time you have a similar shot, you go like this. Let's say, okay, now I got to do this. And you make it again. Okay, you make about 2 out of 3 of those easier shots, and then you come up to one. It's hard to get myself to not. It's hard to get myself to miss. Is the problem. What happens is you come up and you'll miss a shot like that, and you go, well, what did I miss that for? I made those other ones. Yeah. Well, if you have spin on the ball, let's say you were missing with left spin. Okay, if I put left spin on this right now, it helps that ball go in the pocket. And the reason is, if I hit it just a little bit short, that spin, when I hit the cue ball, it's spinning like this, and these two balls have friction on each other. And so even if I was shot it so I missed to the upper corner there, when it hits that ball, it throws it in that direction a little bit. Now that's fine. If you're accidentally hitting the left side of the cue ball, when you're cutting in like that, that'll help it go in the pocket. But if you're over here and you do exactly the same thing, you'll probably miss it, because this thing is now spinning like this, and when it hits that ball, the friction throws it forward like that. Okay. And so you think to yourself, I hear you say, how come I missed that one? I made the other one. Well, you're shooting in the opposite direction a lot of times. It's not the same shot because you're putting inappropriate spin on the ball. You have to know within a millimeter exactly how much spin you're putting on that cue ball, because that makes a difference on how it's going to go in the pocket. And it makes a huge difference on leave. So for example, if my next shot is down here and I put right spin on this ball, I can get down there to shoot that shot. But if I put left spin on the ball, give me the exact same shot. Instead of right spin, I'm going to put left spin on the ball. And now I can stay here to shoot this ball. That's how much difference spin makes. So when you're in it, like when you started out, you were inappropriately putting spin on the ball when you were trying to hit it in the center. When you do that, it changes everything. And if you don't know that you're putting spin on it, especially if you're trying to hit the center of the cue ball, and sometimes you hit right spin and sometimes you hit left, sometimes that ball is going to go that way and sometimes it's going to go that way because the spin affects.
And you can't see it on the balls that don't have those little markers on it.
You can't, right. On a cue ball that doesn't have all these marks on it, you can't see it. So this is fundamentally why the reason that most people miss their shots is from putting an inappropriate spin on the ball.
Okay.
Now, if you know, as you advance and play, and you will advance very fast if you do this stuff that I'm talking about here, then you will start to put spin on almost every shot.
To make it go the way I want it to go.
To make the cue ball go to where you want it. But you have to adjust when you're shooting this. So when I shoot, I did these two shots, right? I was trying to get down on this ball and I put right spin on it. And I was trying to get on this ball and I put left spin on it. If I put left spin on this ball, I have to aim it over there because it's going to get thrown towards the pocket. If I put right spin on the ball, I don't have to aim as far off. I can aim like right about there and the right spin will help it go in. Because inside spin, which is spin away from the angle to the pocket, has more of an effect than outside spin is. So when that hits that ball, it's hitting it more full and it throws it in that direction. That's why we have to know exactly what spin we're getting on the ball, and that's why at the stage that you're at right now,
I need to be putting no spin.
no spin. Hit the ball in the center every time.
That's way too much for me to think.
Well, that's why I'm telling you.
Right.
Is it's way too much for you to control, and you're doing it all the time. You've been putting spin on the ball all the time, and you haven't known it. And so one of the main, that's why this is so important. If you simply come in here an hour before a league match, and instead of playing with me or playing with other friends, you come in and do this drill right here, you'll shoot a hell of a lot better. Because you're making sure you can hit the center of that ball every time. And you're making sure that you're aiming appropriately so you bring it straight back to your cue. That's the only drill. There are some pros, that's the only drill they ever do. It's called the mother of all drills.
Okay.
And the reason is, if you're shooting that straight, that you can make that ball go down and back, then that means when you shoot at this ball, you know you're hitting the center of the cue ball and you know where you have to hit that ball to make it.
Okay. Gotcha.
Most people don't understand these little nuances that are going on in every shot. And you need to understand that because that's what's going to give you motivation to actually do these stupid drills that I'm going to give you. Because otherwise you'll just go, well, why the hell am I doing this?
Yeah.
You're doing it because it's why you miss shots.
Right.
So your homework is, so I would just come in here a couple of days and get a table all by yourself and just do this. Do this.
Okay.
And make sure that you can bring it back to the tip. And then when you feel really good about that, then you can really challenge yourself. And you can put a ball right in line with each diamond. Here, 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 here. And then hit this hard enough to go there, here, and back up the table again. And now you'll find out that you're really not hitting the cue ball in the center, or that your stroke really isn't tuned up, because this becomes really hard to do that. You have to have a perfect stroke to do that. And I don't. I was just lucky I hit that.
Perfect,
I do not have a perfect stroke.
pretty perfect.
I had a perfect shot there. What usually happens is that thing goes way off. Go ahead, give it a try. Try hitting it hard enough to go down, and back again. And again, all you're doing is that pendulum stroke.
Okay.
That's very good.
How is that good?
That's very good. The fact that you didn't go way over here or here.
Do these have anything to do the marks on the cue have anything to do with,
Nope.
could they?
Yeah, you
Like a
can.
little piece of tape?
And sometimes I put a rubber band for people to mark where they should hold it. But the markings on the thing help you to decide. The markings help you decide where to put. You're doing great now, Karen. So next time what we're going to work on is that grip, because that thumb is causing you problems. If you want to, we can work on the grip, because you're getting the rest of it down.
A better feel.
I mean, I don't mind continuing to work on it. I just don't want to overload you. Yeah, you're doing great. So
I don't know how else to hold it. I mean,
let's just take
it's
a.
there between those two fingers.
No, it's not. Your thumb is right on top of the stick. And
To
actually,
envision your little V.
go ahead and don't even think about your grip. Just do that shot a few more times, and I'm going to take pictures. So this is what it looks like. See how your thumb is pointed almost straight up?
Okay.
A lot of times you rest it right on top of the cue. If that thumb's involved at all on the top of the cue, it's going to make it go off a little bit. So what we want is take the stick, and I want you to hold it like this, just like that, with all your fingers wrapped all the way around it. Let it slide down, and that is how tight you want it to be. Is it needs to be able to slide through your hand. Just let it slide down, yeah. Now you have a perfect grip right there. You had a perfect grip right there, right then, just like that. These two fingers are pointed that way. Okay, loosen it up. Okay, now we're going to turn the stick over. That's how tight you want to hold it. And you want to hold it the same way, just like that. Now, when that comes up here like this, that thumb's going to be pointed straight. You should concentrate on that thumb being pointed straight at the ground. Just do a gentle one. Just bring it back to your tip. We'll see how this works. Okay, you're not giving yourself enough clearance there, so you're stepping too far forward. You need to step to the side over here. I told you I was going to mark it and I didn't. Okay, now you have good clearance. Okay. And that was a good grip. And that's the most we can possibly add on to you today, but you're smart enough to do 2 steps
Just
a
let me
day.
pay attention to that grip for a second.
Okay, concentrate on that thumb. Straight down at the ground. Yep, that's it. That's it.
Oh, that's a little twist.
Yes. But you're twisting it straight. You're actually making it straight.
Yeah.
And you feel like you're twisting it.
Well, I didn't even, like,
Yep. You made your hand,
Think about that before.
your hand has been twisted, and you just made it straight, and you said, I twisted it. No, you didn't. You made it straight. That's the funny thing about this, is when you get it right, it'll feel wrong. You're not twisting anything, you're hanging it straight, and as soon as you hang it straight, you feel like you're wrong.
Well, my natural is like that.
Your natural is like this.
And then I had to go
This
like
finger's
that.
too tight, and this finger's up here, and these
Well,
are
we're
too
past
loose.
that
This
now.
is your natural. Okay, we're trying to get it to here.
Right.
And that finger hanging straight down there. You do the same as Robin Hamlet with that pinky finger.
Stick it way
It's
out.
poked out like you're drinking tea.
Wine or something.
Yeah. Okay, concentrate on that thumb going straight to the ground, and you got to widen that step out. There you go. You just moved. Do you realize your hip moves 4 inches when you do that? And your hip and your breast are going to be in the way if you, and that pinches you, and what it causes
Still
you
is.
to do is a C-shaped stroke.
That's what I was laughing about before. I'm like,
Yeah.
my boob's in the way.
Well, they don't have to be in the way. You put them in the way. Yeah, widen that out. There you go. Now, you no longer have to worry about that. Okay, that's perfect. It came off a little bit, but that was just a crooked aim. And by the way, this is something that a lot of women believe, and they struggle with this because they do this. They have their hand trapped back here, and then they hit up here into their boob, and they go, oh, geez, my boobs are in the way. No, they're not. You're just not stepping out here far enough to do this. Now your boobs aren't in the way, unless you're like a double F or something.
Or somewhere.
Yeah, you do not have to worry about that. There's no difference between men and women if they both create correct hip clearance, but it always comes up. Because you're ending your stroke right here at the pectoral, back of your pectoral. Okay, now you're hitting a little bit to the right of the cue, in the center of the cue ball again. So one thing you can concentrate on, I want you to concentrate on the grip on every shot, but one thing to think about is to look at where is the cue ball touching the table. That's the center of the ball. Okay, so you can put it down here and then come up. But right now you're hitting it over there like that. Okay, and it needs to be hit right there. I want you to get in a position. I'm going to come and adjust your arm a little bit. No, that's pretty good. What I want you to do is loosen, relax all those muscles. Let this hang, and relax all this, like that. Okay, you can still point your thumb down without twisting your wrist, like that. You're actually hitting it a little bit crooked because of alignment, not because you're missing the center of the cue ball now.
Because my hips aren't aligned?
No, it would be the alignment with what you're doing is coming down on the ball with your head way off to the side. You should try to get your head over the stick. Okay, I just want to confirm something. I want you to lay your stick down on the table. Okay. I want you to bring your finger up and point at my finger right now and hold it. Okay, now close your left eye without moving. Are you still pointed at my finger?
Yeah, but I'm
Okay, now close your right eye. Are you still pointed at my finger?
No.
Okay, with both eyes open, do you see two of your fingers out there?
Yes.
Okay, which one is pointing at it?
The left one.
The left one is pointing at it. Now close your left eye again.
Still pointing at it.
Your right eye dominant. And that's what you're doing, is you're lining your right eye up. So that's great. But what we need to do is, what you're doing is you're lining up like this with your head. So this right eye is your center of vision. Okay, it right now is 4 inches off to the left of the stick. I want you to just move your head 4 inches so that way back here at the beginning, and you have to twist your body a little bit, just like you do with a rifle. So if you kept your body perfectly straight, the rifle would be off to the side, right?
Okay.
But what all rifle shooters do is bring it in like that. And that's what you have to do with the stick. And it's not much of a motion. But I'd like you to have your eye above that stick and in the line before you come down. And what you're doing is...
Right eye or the left eye?
The right eye. Right eye. What you're doing is coming down on it and then moving your eye over. And that's not as exact. Get your eye over it and then come down on it.
Get my eye over it and then do what? Move this way?
No, I don't want you to move at all once you're down on it. So stand back up and do it with me. So right now, your head is about this far off to the side. I want you to bring your head over. Keep it upright and bring it right over the line so you're eyeing down that thing like it was a gun.
Okay.
Do you feel you're doing that? You're not. No, you're not.
I don't feel it.
You're aimed right over here with your eye right now.
Okay.
Okay? You need to bring your head over.
This way?
No, don't tilt it.
No,
Okay.
Just head over with
Let's
you.
try an exercise. I want you to pretend that stick is a rifle. And I want you to bring it up and shoot me between the eyes with it. Aim at me. Just like you would a rifle.
In my life.
Oh, you haven't? Okay, forget it then. Forget it. In order to know where to aim, you have to have your eye above that stick.
Okay.
Okay? Now, you're looking at the stick, you're looking at the ball, and you're looking down here at this point that you want to aim at and getting them all in. There you go. There you go. You're getting close. Okay? It's uncomfortable. You have to twist your body a little bit. Now come down on it with your eye never leaving that line.
Never leave.
Yeah, watch my eye. My eye is in line right now. I'm going to look you right in the right eye. I'm coming down like this, and I'm never, ever moving my eye at all. It's still aligned exactly over the stick.
Like that. And then
You're right in line now, and you just moved off.
I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah, but when you do that, you have to stand back up and start over again. That hip clearance happens not with your hip, it happens with your left foot. When you move your left foot to the left, that's what creates the hip clearance. But you have to leave your head back where it was. That's the hard part. That was pretty good. You were in alignment the whole way there. What a difference, huh? You got to look at this target and line everything up with this target right here. Come down on it? Yes. Yes. Now you're straight at it. Now you hit the right side of the cue ball, but your stick was wiggling back and forth. That's okay.
okay.
When you're concentrating on one of these, and what will happen is next week we schedule this,
Next surgery?
you'll come back and half of this stuff will be gone. You just can't retain everything that we're doing. So don't worry about it if we go back over stuff. So when you're doing a long shot like this where you see the cue ball come down and all the way back, you begin to realize, I hope, the little bit of difference it makes. If you're off by 2 millimeters over that distance, you're going to miss the shot most of the
and
time.
like I say, these tables are so big, like I
Yeah.
lose that. When I come down on the ball, I completely lose that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what I'm shooting. I'm just trying to hit the cue ball.
The whole way when you're doing this alignment, you want to be looking out there at the target. And that's why we're using the big table, is because it reveals flaws that you can't see on the smaller table. Those flaws are causing you to miss shots, but they're harder to see to determine what is causing the flaw. So when you come down on this, when I'm aiming from here, if I'm going to do the shot you're doing right now, when I'm right here, I'm looking all the way down at that target, and I'm looking back and forth and making sure my stick is pointed straight at that target before I ever begin to move forward, and my head never wavers from that. So I've got my eye on it, I got my right eye lined up with that target, and I come down on it, and I'm right in line. If I do any wavering at any point, I'm not going to be in line. And if then I go to hit the ball and I'm a millimeter off, I'm going to miss the shot.
Because a lot of times when I get down on the ball like that and get ready to make my shot, that's when I'm looking at the target, looking at the ball, looking at the target, and making these tiny little adjustments.
Absolutely, you have to do that, yep. But if you try to make bigger than a micro adjustment after you're down, you're probably going to miss.
Yeah, no,
that's when you stand back up and readjust yourself.
Tiny little adjustments.
Almost all the aiming is done up here. Almost all of it. Like 95% of the aiming is done up here. And then when you come down on it, of course, you're going to make little teeny micro adjustments. But if that adjustment causes you to move your arm like that, it's too much. You have to stand back up. Very good. Little bit of right spin.
And my boo's in the way. And my thumb's pointing in the way.
But you're noticing all that stuff. And you're consistently off to the right a little
At
bit.
least I'm consistent.
Yeah. No. So, let's see, what was I going to say? Yeah. When I say I keep my eye on that target, I don't mean I'm fixated on that target. I'm looking back and forth, but always along the line. So I'm looking from this diamond, I lay my stick down, I'm looking along the stick, looking up there, up, back and forth, and I keep that as I go down on it. You see that, how my head goes straight down? I'm not coming in, I'm not over here like this, because I can't get the alignment from over here, and then coming down and then aiming. I'm aiming up here and then coming down, because that's the only way I can get my foot placement correct.
Yeah, normally I would keep my eye on that spot where I have to hit that ball.
Yeah, you need to be going back and forth along the line.
And then at that point, as soon
And
as
then when you're ready to shoot,
it's gone.
when you're ready to shoot, it's this target that you're staring at.
Yeah. But as soon as I take my eyes off of that,
Mm-hmm.
it's gone.
You have to reacquire it.
I can't because now I'm down here.
Well, what if you have an object ball there to aim at? Does that help? You're aiming at the center of that ball. That was pretty good. You went off to the left a little
Didn't
bit.
feel good. Didn't feel right.
So here's a beautiful thing. If each time that you have a lesson you can get one thing, then that's huge.
Okay.
And the one thing you have for sure is you're placing your bridge hand correctly now. And the grip, you just automatically go back to your natural grip, and that's okay. This happens.
But I'm consciously trying not to.
Yes.
I do, but then I consciously try to adjust that.
And so this is the drill that you need to do until you feel that you can send that right back to the tip every single time.